Most visitors come to Bandung for the cool weather, but this city is also home to one of Indonesia's greatest cuisines. It's called Sundanese food, a cuisine famous across the country for its incredible variety, from comforting soup and smoky grilled meats to fresh sambals and some of the best street food I've seen anywhere in Indonesia. I had 5 days to understand what makes Sundanese food so special, and I couldn't think of a better place to start than Bandung's night market. A chaotic, delicious, sizzling explosion of flavors, colors and aromas that lies at the heart of every great Asian food capital.
So it's 5:30 p.m. and the queue to get a seat into this place, this famous Soto Bandung places, is quite ridiculous. There are people waiting in the queue, sort of sitting down in small stools, and then there are all the sort of delivery drivers who come and pick up the soup to distribute all around the city. It's extremely busy and I'm excited.
Soto Bandung is for Sundanese people comfort in its purest form. A clear beef broth with tender chunks of beef and the crispy white radish. Besides the fried shallots, it doesn't really rely on heavy spices, just patience, balance and the quality of the ingredients.
Obviously you use the rice as the base and you mix a little bit of meat. You put your radish, you put obligatory sort of chili sauce and a squeeze of lime, and you make your own spoon. It's a beautiful thing. It's a very aromatic soup, extremely beefy. Oh, the citrusy from the lime is absolutely needed. And obviously this cannot be anything else than a communal dining experience, because we only have got 2 tables on the sidewalk, and so everyone is fighting for its own seat. But it's beautiful, it's really beautiful.
The problem with Bandung night food scene is that every 20 meters something else demands your attention. Golden bananas disappearing into bubbling oil, only to emerge smoother than grated cheese and chocolate. It looked ridiculously good, but dessert would have to wait. I had something far stranger on my list. Ayam goreng sari manis is a little more than a tent occupying a stretch of sidewalk. Deceptively humble, it's famous for serving chicken, organs, and just about every other edible part of the bird. Once you get over the perfectly understandable suspicion that it's been cooked in engine oil, you'll discover that the color comes from hours of simmering in sweet soy sauce, palm sugar and aromatic spices before everything is finally fried. The restaurant is nothing more than a few plastic stools spilling onto the pavement, packed with locals every evening. As the only foreigner in sight, I attracted more than a few curious glances while trying one of Bandung's favorite comfort foods. The chicken was unbelievably tender, almost falling off the bone, with a gentle sweetness woven through the spices. The intestines were pleasantly chewy, and after a generous dip in the fiery sambal, balanced what would otherwise have been a dinner that leaned a little too heavily on the sweet side for me.
I have no idea why some people say it smells like used sock. Certainly it's got like a very strong smell, but if anything for me it's like intensely fruity, certainly not socks.
What we are talking about here is the king of fruits, durian, loved across much of Southeast Asia and infamous for its powerful aroma. It's a fruit that people seem to either adore or absolutely despise. I've eaten plenty of fresh durian before, but I've never had it blended into a juice. A welcome break before the next round of snacks.
I would say in Bandung, pork satay will be a pretty rare sight. This is obviously a town which is absolutely and decisively Muslim, and pork isn't widespread. But in this sort of food street there is this place called Wibisana Pork Satay where they sell all different sorts of pork skewers.
Belly, skin, intestines, ribs. The reason a place like this exists is that Bandung has long been home to a thriving Chinese-Indonesian community, which has become an important part of the city's cultural and culinary identity.
Okay.
It's for you. Free. It's okay.
Free. Thank you.
Sample.
To sample.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks. Thank you. Hello. Thanks. I've been offered a free sample of pork satay.
The free skewer was a very welcome distraction. Back home here with another target in mind, the pork skin. I mean, just look at it. Glazed, glistening and almost jewel-like under the lights.
Obviously I've had pork skins many times before, but I've never had pork skins sauteed, like skewered and put on the grill. So I'm quite curious about this. It comes with a sort of a side sauce, which I wonder if it's peanut. Let's try one of this so that we know. It's fatty, it's gelatinous, sort of an injection of cholesterol. There is also some pork floss that's been put there. Also I've got a little small side of crushed chilies and slices of scallions. I think maybe in some vinegary sauce, which we can drop onto the satay. And in my next bite, I want to have a little bit of that as well. I think the vinegar is absolutely welcome into this sort of fatty skewer. The sauces are sort of divided in two, so there is the peanutty sauce and then there is a more standard ketchup mayonnaise sauce, which is with soy sauce. The other satay that I've got is, you can see the pork belly slices, the three components, the fat, the skin and the meat, and obviously even this one is a kind of fatty satay, so you need to throw this beautiful concoction of scallions and chili. Look how beautiful is this. I've layered it out perfectly.
Every food market has its own rhythm. Early in the evening, it's all smoke, fire and sizzling grills. Later, when the crowds begin to thin, it's the comforting dessert bowls that quietly take over.
So I'm so ashamed of this pork satay that I'm actually had to rejuvenate my stomach with some gingery dessert. This is called Sekoteng and it's a very famous dessert in Bandung. It's basically a ginger soup which is composed by some different type of biscuits. I think also palm fruits, peanuts, and I'm not entirely sure what these purple things are, but it's meant to be warm and soothing and should help the digestion, which is exactly what I need right now. You can actually taste the condensed milk. It ends up being like gingery but also sweet because of the condensed milk. A mix of mushy texture because all these sort of bready and biscuity components, obviously they are getting soaked into the ginger soup, but it all works very well.
I've developed quite a soft spot for these delicate dessert soups you find across Asia. After an evening spent making questionable dietary decisions, they feel almost medicinal. The warm ginger broth settles the stomach, the translucent palm fruit as this wonderful jelly-like bite, almost like candy, and the roasted peanuts slowly perfume the soup as you eat.
This a famous stall here in Cibadak. There are not many people who do the Sekoteng. I think I've seen this one and another one, but this is definitely the most crowded one.
The next morning I'm set to leave the busy street of Bandung behind. It doesn't take long before the city completely changes. The roads start climbing, the air becomes cooler and you enter the green hills that surround the city. This cooler climate is one of the things that has always made Bandung different from the capital Jakarta. Forests, farms and volcanic landscapes dominate the scene. And although the place feels like calm and fresh, people up here do like the bold flavors of meat. Sate marangi is the name for skewers of meat marinated in coriander, garlic and other spices. It's accompanied by ketchup mayonnaise, a sweet soy sauce with chili, and fresh ingredients designed to cut through the richness of the meat.
You can definitely taste this is kambing, stronger meat flavor, which can put off some people. But actually, the meat's surprisingly tender. You can definitely taste there's the soy sauce in there, the coriander. It has got a beautifully smoky sort of touch. The most similar thing that I can think of is the teriyaki barbecue skewers. I'm gonna give the next skewer a little bath into the ketchup mayonnaise. Bits of chilies in there, onions. I expect this to be quite spicy. Actually, maybe I didn't catch that many chilies in there, but actually it's alright. It's not too spicy. It's bearable. I guess you can make this as spicy as you want, depending on whether you want to go and actually try hard in catching some of the chilies in there.
The setting for this beautiful Sundanese meal in the Highlands is Sindang, Reret, a traditional restaurant surrounded by wooden architecture, water and the peaceful nature of Lembang. Places like these are exactly why many people come to the hills around Bandung, to slow down, escape the heat of the city and enjoy a different rhythm for a few hours. And while waiting for this feast to arrive, there was enough time to simply appreciate the surroundings, enjoy one of those little moments that make traveling so special for me. Sip on a warming Sundanese drink made with ginger and spices, with pieces of shaved coconut inside. This is called bandrek, the perfect way to prepare my senses for what was coming next.
So what you're gonna do to reset your palate from the goat skewers, you're gonna try next the sayur asem. This is a typical Sundanese soup based on tamarind. You can see sort of baby corn, peanuts, the melinjo leaves, a common plant in Southeast Asia, which seeds are also used to make crackers, and it gives a little bit of sort of sourness to the soup. And then we also got some cubes of chayote, a local squash. Oh, it's soothing, it's sour, a bit bitter, very faintly sweet as well. The tamarind is really strong in this one. And you've got a beautiful combination of crunchy but fresh vegetables. Sayur asem and this one called lotek are two examples of completely full vegetarian dishes. Lotek is a mix of cooked vegetables meshed together with some peanut sauce. On top of it, you can see this biscuit is called kerupuk. The vegetables can vary: bean sprouts, long beans, stink beans, fried shallots, again squash, spinach, even if the vegetables are cooked. The dish is actually cold. In some ways it's like a salad, and it's all really coated in this beautiful peanut sauce. A very saucy dish.
This sort of lunchbox is called nasi timbel. Rice wrapped inside a banana leaf, which keeps it warm and gives that subtle fragrance. Around the rice comes everything you need. Soft fried tofu, tempeh, which is a block of fermented soybeans fried until golden. Some salty fish and gepuk. Beef slowly cooked with spices, then fried until the outside becomes caramelized. And of course, fiery sambal and peyek. This crunchy peanut cracker that somehow seems to find its way into almost every Sundanese feast.
A series of staple elements of the Sundanese cuisine. Combine everything with rice, combine everything especially with the sambar, which can be quite potent and spicy. You need to be aware. Got something else wrapped in a leaf. I've never had this. I don't know what it is here. You can't bite that. So inside you've got grated sort of stir-fried coconut and salty fish, extremely salty fish. Lovely.
I decided to spend one night in the cooler hills surrounding Bandung. The fresh mountain air is the perfect excuse to soak in one of the region's most natural hot springs and enjoy one last spicy street meal. But by the morning I was ready to head back into the city because Bandung city itself still had plenty left to eat. Nicknamed the Paris of Java thanks to its elegant colonial architecture and reputation as one of Indonesia's most stylish cities, Bandung isn't just beautiful. It's packed with legendary little eateries, hidden on almost every street. Markets, family-run warungs, tiny street carts. Every neighborhood seemed to have another local specialty waiting to be discovered.
What we are gonna try as a typical Sundanese breakfast this morning is a combination of dishes. Kupat Tahu is chunks of tofu with bean sprouts all covered in a peanut sauce, while Lontong Kari is sort of almost like a beef curry with some rice cake, which is the Lontong. The good thing about this place is that you can actually order both of them and they will make a small portion for you, so you can actually taste both of this traditional sort of breakfast. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shred some crackers into the Kupat Tahu and get a mix of this bean sprout and the tofu. Mix of texture. You got the crunch from the bean sprout and the crackers, and then the soft tofu. Obviously, Sundanese cuisine almost abuse peanut sauce, but this one is not too sweet, so it's actually really mild and nice. It's a little bit of spicy sauce because on itself, this tofu in peanut sauce isn't spicy. A little bit of spicy tinge has never done any harm. This place is incredibly packed. Only local people. Sort of opens between, I think, 9 and 12:30, sort of very restricted timing, and they will be solding out by 12:30. You need to make sure you come here in the morning. Okay, breakfast number 2, Lontong Kari. Again, the rice cakes sort of swimming into a beefy soup, and for the crunchy, again, you've got the keropok, sort of crackers. They put pretty much everywhere in Sundanese cuisine, and little beef chunks in there. A little bit of spicy sauce is a little bit mandatory. We're gonna do just that, and we are gonna add a little bit of cucumber bits with carrots. We're gonna mix all of that. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of beef, some rice cake, a little cracker. That's the bite that I like. Oh my god, the soup is beefy, but it's coconut as well, so it makes it a little bit sweet. This is super small sort of bits of beef. This is not really about the beef, this is about, essentially main component is really the rice cake. This is supposed to be a filling breakfast. In Asian cuisine, rice is the main sort of starchy carbohydrate that's gonna keep you filled. A very busy kitchen. The turnover is quite impressive here.
Tofu really is one of the stars of Sundanese cooking. Pretty much every corner of the city has its own way of serving it, including in its most iconic street snack, Batagor. Here, tofu is fried crispy and coupled with fish dumplings, and served with a rich peanut sauce with a drizzle of sweet soy sauce and a few fresh vegetables on the side. It's one of Bandung's most beloved comfort foods.
These fish dumplings are a very interesting addition. So I'm just gonna mix some of the dumplings with the peanut sauce, and then I'm gonna add maybe a little bit of tofu. Actually, the peanut sauce here has got quite a lot of onion and garlic and also chili flavor. So it's slightly spicy, but also a bit sweeter than the Kupat Tahu we just had. The fried dumplings, they are like very crispy on the outside and crunchy. They taste really fresh. They are basically been fried right now. It does feel like that. And inside they've got this sort of chewy component. There's a little street cart in this very anonymous sort of alley that's pretty famous and gets quite a few locals every day queuing up for this. So.
Many of Asia's great food cities have bustling indoor morning markets. Long before lunch, they're already packed with locals, sitting down over rice, choosing from dozens of home-cooked dishes lined up in front of them. It's chaotic, it's loud, and one of the best windows into everyday Indonesian food culture. I've been told to come here for a very Sundanese specialty. They call it Pepes. It's a traditional way of cooking where fish, chicken, tofu or almost anything else is wrapped in banana leaves with herbs and spices, locking in moisture while infusing everything with the fragrance of the leaves. And whenever there is a local specialty worth trying, I always go for the places that locals themselves have trusted for generations.
This morning I think they had two types of pepes. Pepes ikan, which is basically fish pepes, and pepes jamur, which is mushrooms steamed in the banana leaf. And we'll go with the mushroom first.
These enoki mushrooms really surprised me. Instead of being soft, they were wonderfully chewy and bouncy, with a satisfying bite that soaked up all the fragrant spices. Then came the fish, wonderfully soft and flaky, infused with turmeric and herbs, but absolutely loaded with tiny bones. Delicious, yes, but it definitely made me work for every mouthful.
I couldn't resist all the variety of meats that I was seeing there, so I got some rendang, some fried chicken, ayam goreng, obviously a generous portion of that beautiful spicy sambal that I've seen there. And another dish that's called perkedel kendang, which is basically a potato patty, which is usually seasoned with nutmeg, shallots, pepper, and they are shaped into a patty which is deep fried until golden. Yeah, it's a potato patty, but it's got like the taste of a meatball. I think it has got the taste of minced beef. It's very soft and this crispy golden exterior. Obviously you need to eat it with the rice and the sambal. The sambal is not a joke here. Oh my god. The sambal is called sambal dadak and it's freshly made, ground to order with a mortar and a pestle, and it's made of fresh chili, tomato, shallots, sometimes a touch of garlic and lime, and I can also feel the shrimp paste in it. It's very punchy.
If my mom could see me now, eating spicy meat dishes at 9 AM, she'd be completely puzzled. But this is Indonesia, not Italy. Breakfast here is a proper meal. Rice, protein, sambal, rich sauces. It's not about a light start of the day. It's about eating well, leaving the table full and satisfied. But speaking of Italy, I had to admit I was starting to miss a good bowl of pasta. Here in Bandung, the most similar thing I found is a Sundanese classic called Mie Kocok. A comforting beef broth filled with fresh yellow noodles, bean sprouts and interesting chunks of beef parts. I found a place that felt exactly like an Italian grandma's trattoria. Faded pictures of the past on the walls, huge steaming cauldrons, a dining room that looked more like someone's living room, and regulars who gave me the impression they'd been coming here for decades.
Now I believe the gelatinous component of this dish is, I think, beef tendon, also called, I believe, kikil. And I also asked for the addition of pak, so I'm actually going to try one of them right now. A bit chewy and bouncy. I think what you're meant to do is to add a little bit of that beautiful chili sauce. You can see kind of watery a little bit, I would say, and then lots of chili flakes down there. And it smells pretty potent. Then the smell of chili gets up into your nostril. Small sort of limes squeeze, give them a good mix, and the chili a little bit sort of spread all over. At first I thought there were two different types of noodles, but actually there's lots of bean sprouts which sort of resemble noodles, but there's only one type of flat yellow egg noodles, I believe.
A hot bowl of noodles with that deep, beefy umami coming from chunks of slow-cooked tendons. Food discovery never ceases to fascinate me. Bandung has filled both my stomach and my curiosity, but that's the thing about travel. The moment you feel truly satisfied is often the moment it's time to leave. The rain almost feels like a premonition. It's time to go somewhere I've never heard of. Jump on a train and see where the trucks take me. My friend, if you like this video, give it a like and make sure you check the full Indonesian food series. See you next time.